Hey, hope it's Steve from that old Yorkshire Geek. Ew, got goo on me. What's that? Oh, I know what it is. It's oil. Sorry, I've got goo on my fingers. And I've just realised I oiled me my microphone thing the other day and some dripped down. Anyway, I was adjusting it. Welcome to a special that old Yorkshire Geek special thing, whatever. Live stream, that's the word I'm looking for. As we're going to watch hopefully the second integrated flight test for SpaceX's Starship rocket and super heavy booster. I'm following the NASA space flight feed. Also here behind me, this is the Lab Padre feed. SpaceX don't do YouTube feeds anymore, not live ones anyway. Because remember, Elon Musk bought Twitter, so you've got to watch it. Sorry, X. So you've got to watch it on there. But I've also got that up as well. So we'll pop into that one as well and see what's going on. Apparently, everything's okay so far. But before we start, let's see what happened last time, eh? So I'll get that up. My reaction from last time. So I'll share that. I'll make myself teach. No, I'll just get rid of myself. Right, here we go. Previously on that old Yorkshire Geek watching space launches.
30 seconds away, or 10 seconds.
It's going. It's going. It's going. It's going. Take off. Go. Launch. That's doing it. It's going. It's lifted off. It's left the pad. Going there. That's a space flight before. Official space thing. It's going. It's flying. It's in the air. There it goes. Look. Look at it. Look at it going. It's majestic. It's amazing. Go on. Keep going. Keep flying. It's still going. Oh, this is awesome. If you just joined me, this isn't the actual launch from today. I'm playing my reaction from previously. In fact, I'll stay here. I'll snap to that. I'll put myself down now because I'll cover that at won't I? So we'll leave that as it is, and I'll just keep playing it, and then it's not live. Look at that! Listen to that noise with those engines. 31 Raptor engines going all at once. Go on, keep going. It's max Q soon. Very shortly. Maximum aerodynamic pressure. They'll throttle back a little bit.
The vehicle, and so far proceeding.
They're going to blow this up.
It's continuing on the flight.
Rotate. Is it supposed to do that? I don't think so.
There appears to be a spin that can be seen from our tracking camera here. Of the Raptor, always the chance that something can go wrong.
But it left the tower. A great load of data. Then there we go. It blew up. They blew it up on the first go. Hopefully that won't happen today. Right. So let's get back to there we go. Let's get back to the live feed from NASA space flight. As I said, we'll pop in to in fact, I'll make myself titchy tiny now so you get a bigger, there we go, bigger image. Right. So we'll keep an eye from here. I'll put the volume on in a minute so we can hear them talking because they're experts. I know sod all about this. Propellant loading is apparently underway. Apparently, also the targeting the actual launch at the beginning of the launch window. So it could be, any time next half an hour or so. Well, when that gets to 0, essentially up there, that's when the targeting to launch. Give or take, it won't be super accurate. And I forgot to put my Starship T-shirt on. I've got my T-shirt on from yesterday because I'm a slob. Because I didn't know this were going to be happening. I didn't know they were going to launch it today. So I put this together quickly. And I was just going to have a lazy day today. So I'm just slobbing it in yesterday's T-shirt. Anyway, right, so let's have a listen. I'll get rid of me, and we'll have a listen to what they're saying.
Now, that would start.
And there you can see again some of the venting going on here. It's just remarkable. I've been doing a bunch of these Falcon 9 streams, and it's just remarkable just how much more venting there is on this system, and the volume of those vents are just remarkably large here. So, but we're keeping an eye on things. We're about 25 minutes now until the opening of the window, and this is kind of the quiet period, Adrian, isn't it? Because they're pretty much just trying to get this thing fueled up.
Yeah, this is mostly their goal right now. There's a lot of action at the beginning of the fueling, and then it's kind of starting again with the engine chill, and then a lot of things in rapid succession. But as of right now, they're just fueling ship and booster, and the ship appears to be kind of almost fully loaded at this point, which you can see there. Like, of course, at the top there is this payload section, future payload section, no payload on this flight, but that will not be frosty. So you can see the ship is kind of full already. The booster is about 2/3 there, I would say.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, it's almost fully fueled and ready to go, which is a good sign that the fuel continues to go in. And when we were thinking, I was thinking about the.
By the way, I forgot to mention, if you want to join me, if anybody's watching, want to join me live, on screen, I've put the link for the StreamYards thingamabob in the chat on YouTube. So you follow that link, it'll take you to the backstage area, whatever the hell they call it. And then it can put you in. No nutters, please. Just people who really want to watch this and get excited about rocket launches and stuff. Especially this one, which is the largest rocket ever launched. Even bigger than the last one, because it's a bit taller, isn't it? Because they've added this hot staging ring. So there we go. Right. While we're at it, just let me get rid of that. While we're at it, it's showing there. Sorry, just put it back on a minute. As soon as I put it back on, they take it off. They're showing how big it is, how tall it is. Let's check the actual SpaceX feed. Here it is. I put the volume on.
To date is about 17 metric tons. So we're talking about an order of magnitude more with Starship in terms of payload capability. And that matters because the amount of mass that we're able to launch per rocket is crucial to ultimately creating a self-sustaining city on Mars. Now, let's talk a little bit about how tall the vehicle is. The Super Heavy booster alone stands about 70 meters tall, and that's about the same height as a fully integrated Falcon 9. The height of Starship on top of it is comparable to that of the Statue of Liberty. But of course, the most technical length unit is that of Godzilla's. And we can confidently say that the fully stacked Starship and Super Heavy is at least one Mechagodzilla tall. It just so happens that we refer to the launch and catch tower at Starbase as the Mechazilla from the Godzilla movie. And you could see from that the resemblance is quite uncanny.
Very uncanny. Now, the first stage, also known as the booster or Super Heavy, has a diameter roughly 2.5 times that of Falcon 9, and with 33 much larger engines. More engines means more power to deliver a massive amount of cargo to space. Amazing view here. This is a view that we don't have on our Falcon 9 missions. This is a view looking up under the Super Heavy booster. I love the shot. We can see all 33 engines there. Now, one cool upgrade on the booster's engines, we have a new electronic thrust vector control system, or ETVCs. We previously used the hydraulic system to control the positioning of the Raptor engines, meaning we tilted them in flight using pressurized fluid. Now, hydraulics are complex, and because they're fluid-based, they have the potential to leak. Not good. So switching to an electronic system means fewer potential points of failure. Also, we now carry less mass on the vehicle because we don't need to carry hydraulic fluids anymore. So good news all around. Now, the electric system has lots of benefits on its own. It only takes 30 minutes to activate for flight. It doesn't consume resources when inactive, and they allow for regenerative charging like a Tesla battery.
Yeah, all great things when you're trying to rapidly reuse a vehicle. Now, moving up, Starship is designed for vertical takeoff and landing on any hard surface. That's opposed to taking off and landing on a runway like aircraft do. And that's important because there are no runways on the moon and Mars. The ship features 6 Raptor engines, 3 of which are sea level, and 3 of which are vacuum engines with an expanded nozzle, which makes them optimized to operate in the vacuum of space. The ship, at the top of the the ship is featured with 4 flaps as well. This is a shot actually of the top of the booster where we can see the hot stage portion and the 4 grid fins. Now, those flaps on the ship portion help aerodynamically control the vehicle's attitude during atmospheric reentry and flight, and will enable us to do precise landings. The body of Starship is also wrapped in a heat shield that's made up of 18,000 hexagonal ceramic tiles. You can see them wrapping around the top of the nose here and here in this shot of the flaps. Now, those tiles are designed to insulate the vehicle during atmospheric entry, where the temperatures can get as high as 1,500 degrees Celsius. And one of our test objectives today is to verify how those systems perform during reentry.
Yeah, now as Shiva mentioned, there between the ship and the booster, basically the top of the booster, between those 2 stages, that's our new hot stage, critical for our new separation technique. As we talked about earlier, we are constantly learning and upgrading the vehicle after we test. Now, this is a pretty exciting first for our team, as hot staging has never before been used as part of a reusable space transportation system, let alone on a rocket with the size and power of Starship. Hot staging is a significant change from Flight 1, and we're really hoping to gather data on it during this highly dynamic phase of flight, and that is, once again, assuming that we even make it that far.
Of course, let's take a closer look at what we expect hot staging to look like. Now, it occurs at about liftoff plus 2.5 minutes. At that point, the booster will shut down most of its 33 engines, leaving just 3 running, and the ship will ignite all 6 of its engines. Clamps will release, and then the ship will thrust away from the booster. Now, this is the first in-flight test of the heat shield on the top of the booster and the bottom of the ship, and of course, the first in-flight test of hot staging, and we're hoping to gather a ton of data on it today.
Yeah. Now, stage separation by hot staging is somewhat uncommon in spaceflight, but it has been done before. However, today will mark the first time that a reusable space transportation system is attempting it. The Titan program did hot staging quite successfully in the early 1960s, but they were not concerned with reuse, so there was no issue when the Titan first stage took considerable damage upon ignition of the second stage engine. Now, today, there is a good chance that our booster will also incur some damage from the second stage engines, but we need to test it out, see if the system can tolerate it, and collect data to learn how to do hot staging better next time, because ultimately, when successful, it could increase Starship's payload to orbit capacity by 10%. So more payload and more people to Mars. Hot staging also helps us maximize the vehicle's performance by leaving those 3 first stage engines on, so gravity can't rob us of precious velocity, or at least not as much of it. Hot staging also helps to ensure the ship's liquid propellants are at the bottom of the prop tanks, which is where we need them, which is where we need that propellant to be in order to quickly light the ship's engines. Another reason to do hot staging, it reduces the risk at stage separation by moving to a passive stage by moving to a passive stage system, deleting parts and simplifying, meaning physics is going to be doing most of the work instead of mechanical parts that would otherwise be pushing the 2 stages away from each other.
That's a great summary, Kate. And of course, this required design changes from Flight 1. The most notable of which is the interstage here. So on Flight 1, that interstage was completely enclosed. But for hot staging, the interstage portion between the booster and the ship is going to see dramatic increases in pressure and temperature. So we had to change the structure to include vents for the exhaust gases that the ship's Raptor engines will produce. Now, the 3 center engines on the ship actually gimbal, they rotate, and we're going to be gimbaling them outwards to reduce the forces that are being directly imparted on the booster and maximize the exhaust gas that's going through those vents. We've also beefed up the ship's space heat shield to withstand the higher temperatures and pressures. And for today's test, like really getting through hot staging would be a major milestone.
Vapor.
There are some risks associated with this test, but of course the ship and booster are going to be pretty far out over the ocean in the safety zone and far away from people.
Yeah, regardless of what happens, it's going to be super exciting to watch. Now, in addition to the first and second stages of the vehicle, Starship has a third stage that we call Stage 0. This consists of the launch mount, the tower, and the tank farm, all of which you can see there on your screen, as well as the pad infrastructure built around the rocket. Fun fact, it's the Guinness Book of World Records holder for the largest launch tower in the world. What a beautiful drone shot that we have here. Also important part of the system, but less visible right now, especially because of the fog, is our new water-cooled steel flame deflector. And that's certainly a new upgrade for this flight.
Yeah, on Flight 1, the Starship's launch pad was damaged pretty significantly during liftoff as those super heavy Raptor engines fired their full thrust into the foundation for more than 12 seconds. So now we have a new high-pressure, water-cooled steel flame deflector system that we developed and installed between the flights, and there you can see the video of it dispensing 260,000 gallons of water. And that's designed to dissipate those loads from the Raptor engines and support rapid turnaround of the launch pad with minimal refurbishment between flights. Part of a rapidly reusable launch system also means the pad infrastructure.
Yeah.
We performed multiple standalone tests and have used this new system for both the Flight 2 booster static fire tests. And we've also reinforced the pad pretty significantly from Flight 1.
Yes. Now, also part of Stage 0, we mentioned before, the launch mount. Kind of hard to see there, but it's what the booster is connected to. Oh, here we can see basically the legs of the launch mount. This is what holds Starship and all of its mass. It holds Starship during ignition, right there at the Super Heavy booster. This is what houses all of the equipment needed to fuel the Super Heavy booster and condition it for flight, as well as all of those electrical, communication, and data connections between the ground and Starship. Bottom line is, it's an important part of how we talk to Starship on the ground and understand that it's really ready to fly.
And of course, the awesome camera shot there of those 33 Raptor engines.
You could argue the more there is, the
Such
more
a great view. We don't have that view for Falcon 9, so I love that we get it here. Now, as we mentioned earlier, the real game changer with Starship is not only mass to orbit capabilities, but that it's designed to be used over and over and over again with little to no downtime in between. Full and rapid reusability is the key to making routine space travel a reality, and SpaceX has been working on this since its inception.
Yeah, with SpaceX's family of Falcon launch vehicles, which are the first and only orbital class rockets capable of reflight, we started that. And Starship is going to take this even further with a reusable first and second stage. Now, while most rockets are expended after their portion of the mission, SpaceX rockets land back on Earth and are quickly returned to our hangars to prepare to refly again.
Exactly. In fact, 90% of all Falcon 9 boosters that have flown this year have been reused, or as we like to say, flight proven. So while launching and landing rockets may seem routine today, this was not always the case. For those of you that have been following along since our early days, you know that it took us 4 attempts before we successfully launched our first rocket to orbit. Here you see our Falcon 1 Flight 4. 15 years ago in September, that vehicle became the first privately developed liquid-fueled launch vehicle to orbit Earth. If Falcon 1 Flight 4 had not succeeded, it would have meant the end of SpaceX.
And our first successful landings didn't come easily. We had to miss the target a few times before we ultimately stuck the landing. But each of these landing attempts, how to not land an orbital rocket, were teaching us what we needed to know in a flight-like environment to get that full picture of how all the systems interacted together.
Oh man, yeah, this is me trying to not get goosebumps watching this first drone ship landing. I hosted that webcast, and it was so exciting to see that iterative development approach that we took finally paid off after so many attempts of failing. Now that failure is expected to help improve future designs of our vehicles and systems. So fast forward to present day, we've landed F9 boosters over 245 times since our first reflight of an orbital class booster 6 years ago.
Yeah, and it really comes down to our design philosophy. If you're not failing in some way, then there's room to learn and push the design to improve. And failure doesn't just mean blowing up a rocket. It might be not being as efficient as we want to be or producing slower than we want to. So that approach has been the basis of how we've made all of our major innovative advancements.
Okay.
All right. Now, Falcon 9 has certainly come a long way, and Starship will too. But as a reminder, today is a test. We really hope to get to stage separation, but any data received will help us improve. It's the second of many future flight tests of Starship before it becomes fully operational.
And these flight tests teach us about the limits of our design. They help us improve our understanding of the vehicle, and ultimately will help us to make Starship more reliable and rapidly reusable. So again, whatever the outcome and however far we get today, we can promise excitement. So why are we doing all of this? Why do we need a rocket this big, and why does it need to be reusable so quickly? And that answer goes back to SpaceX's mission, which is to make life multiplanetary.
Ships to Mars.
We aren't just building a new spacecraft. We're changing what it means to go to space. By building the most powerful rocket ever flown and a ship designed to carry people, cargo, habitat, satellites, and more, we're unlocking a future where our dreams of exploration will no longer exceed our grasp. And this mission continues with flights like today's integrated test.
And these are flights where we're going to fail fast, but learn even faster, where each time we're going to try something new while flying something that we've improved. And ultimately, that's going to build up a fleet to fly early and often as Starship rapidly evolves to become more capable and more reliable.
The first stop is our nearest neighbor, with a surface that hasn't seen visitors in more than 50 years. Under Artemis with NASA, Starship will return people back to the moon. After those first expeditions, we'll be ready to fly more people along with everything that it takes to build a moon base. Think about that. Hardware that will enable us to live on another world is sitting on a launch pad on Earth right now.
And the moon is just the proving ground. When the time comes to make that leap to Mars, everything gets ratcheted up by orders of magnitude.
The logistics of supporting an entire city on Mars are daunting, requiring millions of pounds of cargo flown from Earth spread out over thousands of launches. We just broke our own record for the number of launches in a single year, and we're going to break it again next year.
Now, in the years to come, Starship is going to dwarf those figures as we bring it online and truly make life multiplanetary. But for now, anyway, as the clock counts down to today's flight test, why don't we get another status update from John?
We're just over 9 minutes from liftoff as the countdown clock clicks to 0. Good news is teams aren't working any significant issues on the launch vehicle right now. Propellant loading is continuing on both the Super Heavy and the ship stages. Most recently, we began loading LOX and methane fuel into the header tanks on the Starship. And on the graphic on the left side of the screen, you can see up in the nose of the second stage, what we call Starship, are those two header tanks for fuel and liquid oxygen. Now, that loading started at T-minus 24 minutes and will continue until approximately T-minus 5.5 minutes. Now, Starship's second stage main fuel and LOX tanks are loaded for flight. And the second stage propellant that we're loading on board is going through the quick disconnect.
You can't
see it comes out on the arm that's located
weather go, range go, vehicle go.
On the Super Heavy booster, propellant loading will continue until T-minus 3 minutes. We've also configured the pad for liftoff. A little earlier in the count, the hold downs, the booster hold downs were commanded to unlatch. That means once the rocket has sufficient thrust to overcome its weight, it'll lift off the pad. There's no need to command the hold downs to release the rocket. As we mentioned earlier also, the ignition sequence has been slightly modified from the last flight for a more efficient liftoff. As a reminder, we ignite the engines a few seconds before T0. We don't lift off exactly at T0. We lift off a few seconds later, a couple seconds. Finally, the SpaceX team continues to check in with the Coast Guard to ensure there are no boats in the safety perimeter before proceeding with launch out over the Gulf of Mexico. Now, currently, we're coming up T-minus 7 minutes, 10 seconds to the test flight of Starship. Propellant loading is continuing on both stages of Starship. We're waiting now for the completion of loading of the header tanks in the next few minutes. The first stage is also beginning pressurization for flight while we are continuing to load propellant into it. Again, booster propellant load will finish at approximately T-minus 3 minutes. At that stage, both first and second stages are fully loaded, and we'll have the 10 million pounds of liquid propellant on board the 2 stages of Starship. Now, in the next few minutes, the guidance system will perform its final alignment. We'll get the automated flight termination system that'll arm, and the final TVC checkout will be performed.
Hopefully they won't
We may
need
get
it.
a view looking up at the engines as we gimbal the 13 middle engines to check them out just before liftoff at about T-minus 90 seconds. If we need to hold, it would come at T-minus 40 seconds. That's the point in the countdown where we can pause to wait for final checkouts or pressurization to complete. Or, as we're hearing right now, we're still working a few boats in the area that are headed south.
Beautiful.
And a lot of cheering here in Hawthorne. The boats are heading south, but we are still planning to hold at T-minus 40 seconds if necessary.
Just
They're all
amazing
having
views
fun.
of today's launch. There's nothing quite right like a launch at basically sunrise. Sunrise, I think, was just about 10 or 15 minutes ago out at Starbase.
Yeah, these views are just incredible. Couldn't ask for a more beautiful day to attempt a test flight here. Again, these are live views of Starship as it awaits its second integrated flight test.
Nearly time,
Our
princess.
primary objective today is to get through stage separation. We really want to test out our attempt to perform hot staging, where we are going to ignite the engines on the second stage while some of the engines on the first stage are still lit. So essentially both stages will be making fire at the same time.
Ooh, that for the view.
And that will push the booster away from the ship. It'll separate the 2 stages. So that's the primary goal for today. We really hope to be able to test that out. But at the end of the day, all and any data that we can collect is going to be
Wonder why they
incredibly
decided
helpful
the-
and help inform
tank
future
fan.
improvements and
Oh,
iterations
launch
of the vehicle.
tower.
Yeah, Kate, there are other objectives for today too, assuming we get farther than stage separation. There's goals to test out how reentry goes on the ship portion. If the booster survives stage
And it's a
separation,
terrain
then it's going to try a boost back burn and hopefully a soft landing as a sort of dress rehearsal for what it would look like on land. So everything coming up to that big design change, though, of hot staging today.
Yeah, exactly. Like you were saying, that booster, it will be attempting a water landing in the Gulf of Mexico. We don't intend to recover any of the hardware for either the ship or the booster today. But that booster, yeah, we want to try and demonstrate controlled ascent through most engine cutoff.
On this
We want to
screen
try
here,
to demonstrate that
speed.
hot staging
This is the
separation and
rapid
boost
space
back
flight
flip,
speed, and it's about 6
trying to
seconds-ish
basically demonstrate controlled burn and entry
Ahead
and that soft water
of the,
landing. Like you
SpaceX.
said, it will help inform
It's a bit larger than
when
the
we
launch
attempt
here
a
first.
land landing, but we start in the water first,
Exactly.
just like we did with the Falcon 9.
Yeah, exactly. And, just getting to hot staging, though, is going to be farther than we got on Flight 1.
Yes.
Flight 1, that was about as far as we got. We didn't have hot staging on that vehicle. So that's the first and foremost objective today. Get that far, hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Now, one thing that's a little cool about Starship, and it's different from Falcon 9, is we can actually hold a little bit longer if we needed to than we can on Falcon 9 missions. Once we get to T-minus 40 seconds, and if we did have a hold, depending on the reason for the hold, we can hold for up to 30 minutes. And today, actually, our entire launch window is about 20 minutes, so the whole duration would cover most of our launch window.
Yeah.
And that's different from Falcon.
Yeah, absolutely. With Falcon, we have to go exactly at T0. That 40-second hold is super helpful. If we need to, for example, we need more time to pressurize the COPVs for flight levels. Perhaps fuel.
If the engineers just need to look at some of the data, see how engines are performing, or the avionics.
Exactly. Those checkouts, being able to have the opportunity to top off the fuel or LOX if it's not fully loaded. And, we might want to just take a few more minutes for that. So that T-minus 40-second hold can be really helpful. But we don't have that option on Falcon. So it's a little bit different here.
We're just inside T-minus 2 minutes and counting. The good news right now we're hearing it doesn't look like we're going to need to hold a T-minus 40 seconds as the boats are clearing out of the way. Next event coming up, TVC wiggles as we move the center engines on the first stage. You can see maybe just a little bit there. 90 seconds, wiggles are underway as we're checking out the first stage. TVC checks are complete. Next major event we're going to hear, hopefully, is the flight director go for launch at T-minus 30 seconds. As we're coming up on T-minus 1 minute, when we get to T-minus 40 seconds, we'll just listen in. Last time, as you recall, we did hold at 40 seconds. It took a few seconds for the clock to recover, so we're going to watch that. And as we press to T0, we're going to watch and listen the second test flight of Starship.
Fingers, toes, and eyes crossed. We're going to have a hold. Yes, we've got a hold at 40 seconds, but you said that's normal, didn't you? Yep, we're off. We're off. Little launch for fingers crossed.
T-minus 30 seconds. Back to rapid recycle.
Oh, reset the time. Reset the time back to 40. There's a hold. I bet it's a scrub. I bet they scrub the bugger. I bet they do. See, they've shut up now. Yeah. But it had the hold last time, and it wasn't for long, was it? Only a few minutes.
Back at Hawthorne, we're at T-minus 40 seconds in holding. We had a rapid recycle. We've not heard anything over the countdown net as the team works both first and second stages. We're going to monitor the nets here for a minute.
I bet they scrub it. I bet there's something wrong. They'll leave it for another day. Because they haven't got a big launch window for this one.
Got a little bit of an update. We're continuing to hold at T-minus 40 seconds. This is the normal hold point for Starship, as we talked earlier. Sounds like we're working just late pressurization on, I believe, the second stage. Team is working it. All the other systems are on hold right now at 40 seconds. We can hold here for about 15 minutes or so before we would run out of window for this morning. So right now they're working on filling pressure vessels. And ideally we'll be able to solve this and come back and release the clock at T-minus 40 seconds. We're going to continue to listen and monitor for another few minutes.
Don't like delays.
And it's worth mentioning here that don't go away. We are holding at T-minus 40 seconds, but once the teams have resolved and see the data that they want to see, the clock can restart straight away and it'll start ticking down from T-minus 40 again, all towards liftoff.
Yeah, exactly. Now, while we do have the ability to hold for up to 30 minutes, we only have a 20-minute launch window. So don't go away. Don't change the channel. And just like Shiva said, we can restart that clock. And there it is.
And there it goes.
We're going. We're going. Fingers crossed.
Clock is rolling. T-minus 30 seconds.
Princess, you ready? Space cat. 20 seconds.
T-minus 15.
Really, the start in his minute now.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
There it goes.
5,
Ignition.
4,
Ignition.
3, 2, 1.
There. Lift off there.
We have liftoff.
Have lift off. Go on. Go on, you bugger. Get up there.
Keep
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going, it's flying. I said this last time, didn't I? You watched the previously on at the beginning. It's going. You know what? Those engines look better than last time. They kind of look a bit uneven. They all look lit, don't they? All those engines look lit. Can't see any out. Ooh, could this work? Could this work?
We are T plus 40 seconds into the flight of Starship.
All those engines are lit.
33 Raptor engines
Acquisition
powering the
booster
first
ship,
stage.
power and telemetry nominal.
We've heard power and telemetry nominal call out. We're heading downrange.
Going. That brightness of that engine blotting out the blue sky. From this one. In the massive space flight speed. Max Q, speaks Max Q.
Net call out tells us Starship is through the period of greatest stress on the way to space. Now the next major event is hot staging in just over 90 seconds from now. To get ready, the booster will shut down all but 3 of the Raptor engines. Clamps holding the 2 stages together will release, and the Starship's second stage will ignite its engines. Starship will then separate from the Super Heavy booster and head to space.
My fingers are
And at the same time, the 3 engines that are still firing on Super Heavy will flip the booster around. 2 more engines will ignite for the boost back burn, putting the first stage on path for a splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico.
I don't know how to watch. Come on. Come on, work. Oh, that's a better shot, isn't it? I don't have to do that now. I said a lot of those engines will shut down then, won't they, before the hot staging? They said only 3 will stay lit, didn't they? That's what he said in the simulation.
Engine power continues to look nominal on 33 Raptor engines.
Going, isn't it? And it's not.
We're about to shut down the first stage and perform staging. Let's watch and listen.
But that looks amazing. What's that turning for? Is that supposed to be doing
and
that?
Acquisition of signal Houston and New Orleans.
Booster engine cut off.
Right. Hot stage. Come on. It's lit. It's lit. It's ignited.
Separation.
It's separation. Woohoo! The booster's heading back now. It will be. Have no shots from the actual rocket. No shots from the booster. Camera on the booster. Well, that's heading back. After the splash down in the Gulf of Mexico. They're actually going to try and land it on the speed.
Incredible views of our Super Heavy booster.
Oh, it's blown up.
And as you can see, the Super Heavy booster has just experienced a rapid, unscheduled disassembly. However, our ship is still underway with all 6.
Boosters exploded.
And we just heard there, ship avionics, power and telemetry nominal. All 6 engines are lit, as you can see from the GUI there at the bottom right-hand side of your screen.
Starship's going to work. Come on, Starship. It's going essentially into orbit.
Now, we did know that the that hot staging was going to be incredibly dynamic. We knew that there was a chance that the booster would not survive, but we're going to take that data and figure out how we can make the booster better for the next hot stage.
Yeah, that hot staging put a lot of load on the top of the booster. And of course, it flipped around there. A lot of dynamic stuff happening. The ship is still going strong.
And it's doing great. Right now, the ship, the second stage, is on its way. Like we said, you can see all 6 of its engines are ignited.
125 kilometers up. So technically,
the next major milestone for the ship will be the shutdown of those engines, or SECO, second engine cutoff, which if you follow our Falcon 9 launches, familiar terminology there. So far, today has been incredibly successful, even with the RUD of the Super Heavy booster. This is amazing.
Primary objective of the booster today to get to hot staging, to get ship on its way to orbit. It did that admirably.
Yeah, we definitely asked.
Trajectory nominal.
All right, great news there. That trajectory for ship is nominal. Once again, Starship's second stage, firing those engines. And as you just heard, everything's looking good. Now, for the ship, we wanted it to survive hot staging, which, as you can see there by that little dot on your screen, it did. We also want to basically demonstrate that the successful startup of those engines, demonstrating controlled ascent, which is what it's doing right now, and eventually orbital insertion. We are hoping to basically send this around the Earth, and if it makes it this far, splash down in the Pacific Ocean, a couple hundred miles north of Hawaii. Now, if we get that far, like all of that sounds great. Secondary objectives for ship, again, continuing to gather engine data and about its health, performance.
Nominal ship chamber pressures.
Speed.
Great news there. That tells us that the chamber pressures inside of the Starship, again, that's that small dot on your screen. Basically the propellant pressures in the ship are looking good.
Show us.
Yeah, the bottom right corner of your screen, you can see essentially a user interface showing us which engines are lit. So the 3 center sea-level Raptor engines on ship are gimbaling engines. The 3 outer engines in the triangle, the larger ones are Raptor vacuum engines. All of them continuing to fire nominally. So they're at the pressures that we expect to try to get into our target trajectory today.
Yeah.
And we're not targeting orbit today. We're targeting almost orbit today. That's very intentional as part of the mission design. The goal is to get to a thrust profile similar to what we would need for orbit, but also to get to the energy levels that the ship would need to dissipate for re-entry. And so we're actually going in a suborbital trajectory today, but that trajectory will get us to the energy levels that we need at re-entry, where we can really stress that heat shield and get valuable data on re-entry. And those calls that we are still on a nominal trajectory here and seeing nominal pressures means that we have a really good shot of hitting our target orbit.
Yeah.
It's not the camera on the
now, if the booster had survived, we would be around the time where it would be getting ready to land, performing its re-entry, but it unfortunately did not survive. That being said, that's okay. It survived several seconds after hot staging, so we're going to take that data and improve the hot staging sequence and probably improve the hardware itself for the next flight.
A bit more of the the booster falling down there. Oh, another one of them. Oh, the engine's cut off. So is it Seco, or whatever they call it? Does that look to be spinning? Something gone awry? Or is it supposed to be doing this? The telemetry seems to have ended. The speed's staying the same.
Standing by for a call out here.
I was going to say orbital.
Coming up on the projected time that ship would shut down its engines.
Well, they're all cheering. So it must be okay.
As you can tell by the excitement from the crowd here at the Control Center in Hawthorne. There's a great view of our Star Command Center. That's our control center at Starbase Texas. Down here at Mission Control Center behind us in Hawthorne. Everyone is super exciting. What a successful day this has been so far.
Waiting acquisition of signal. Oh dear. Come on, tell us it's okay. Give us some bloody footage from the ship, for crying out loud.
And I mean, up to this point, major successful milestones through hot staging, which was the big objective today.
I mean, they don't look super excited there, do they? All the others were cheering, but these actually looks like mission control.
So we are going to head into the coast phase, planned for the next about hour and 5 minutes. We'll be returning around the T+1 hour and 15-minute mark. And that's while we're waiting for Starship to continue on to its next step for re-entry. We're not totally sure what video we're going to get. And that video comes normally by overflying ground stations, but we don't have a ton along our flight path. So fingers crossed that we will get some via Starlink on this mission since we're testing that out.
Okay.
And also give us a moment. We are hearing some chatter on the net, so we're going to try to parse that for you.
See what they're saying on Twitter, on the SpaceX thing on Twitter. Stage separation with the last one, lift off. Pardon me. Nothing yet on the SpaceX Twitter. This is the boring bit now, isn't it? I'll not keep it going for an hour, I don't think. While we wait to see what happens at the other end of Hawaii. Oh, hang on. I've got a notification on my Twitter.
John Hesberger back here in Hawthorne at our webcast desk. We have lost the data from the second stage. We had heard a call out that we were internal guidance, which means we were getting near the end of the approximately 6-minute burn of Starship. But we haven't gotten any more data since then. So we think we may have lost the second stage. So we would not be into coast phase. We wouldn't be able to come back in an hour or so and possibly get ready for reentry. However, what we do know right now is we had an on-time launch at 7 o'clock. We got through the boats. First stage looked beautiful with 33 Raptor engines firing. We got the hot staging, you know, the thing that we really wanted to see and impressed. We saw the separation. We saw the flip maneuver.
We got further.
We saw the light up of the 6 Raptor engines on Starship, and it headed away. Everything really looked good. How long will it be for
IFT3?
But what we do believe right now is that the automated flight termination system on second stage appears to have triggered very late in the burn as we were headed downrange out over the Gulf of Mexico. But the real topping on the cake today, that successful liftoff, Kate, Shiva, the hot staging is just beautiful. Exactly what we were looking for.
Yeah, ultimately, honestly,
is it
such
an
incredibly successful day. Even though we did have a RUD or a rapid unscheduled disassembly of both the Super Heavy booster and the ship, that's great. We got so much data, and that will all help us to improve for our next flight.
Of course, and that's why we flight test, and you can bet that there's going to be more to come. So we really do want to thank you all for joining us. Of course, we want to thank the people of Cameron County. We want to thank all the federal agencies that have supported us for our test. And of course, a huge congratulations to the entire SpaceX team on getting through this flight test today. And I think with that, we're going to sign off from here in Hawthorne.
Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Right, so I'll get rid of that. Get rid of that, and we'll go over to a NASA space flight and see what they've got to say. That's what we'll do. If it comes on, just bear with me. Give it a refresh. Let's give it a refresh. Why isn't it coming on? Waiting. Why is it waiting? Oh, there we go. Come on now. It's come on now. Oh, gone off again. Oh, it's no, right. We're going. Right. So they're just advertising their wares, as you can see there. So we'll go full screen. And we'll see what they're saying. Right, I'll let myself teach tiny again. But I think I'll be going soon. Hang on, I'll put it in. There we go. Right.
Kind of getting a handle on the information that's out there at the moment. What has happened is that we had a successful liftoff. All those engines, all 33 of them, were burning successfully all the way through hot staging.
A new didn't.
They lost the booster on the way back. And SpaceX is saying that it looks like the flight termination system on the second stage on Starship engaged itself. And to me, again, we're going to speculate here a little bit. But Alex, it looked to me as though that the flight termination system kind of must have looked like it actually enabled right after engine cutoff. We saw a big plume right at cutoff. What do you think?
Yeah, so I was sort of hoping that the big plume was
Is it a new hint?
was perhaps the shutdown of the engines, because sometimes they do these weird effects. When they shut down and all of these gases from the shutdown combine and everything. I was kind of hoping that was the case. I'm quite disappointed. But hey, in the overall scheme of things, come on, the ship reaches space.
Is that then new, Alex?
I'm
not sure. That's the
sure.
most. That's the most dent to tank. That's like the one that always looks a bit rough.
Yeah, I will have to probably look at other perspectives, points of views to really see if that's actually something that was there before. In any case, I wouldn't be surprised. It didn't seem like there was a lot of concrete like the last time. It did appear that the water deluge worked as intended. I'm currently reviewing all of our feeds as we speak, and so trying to process everything.
And I'll tell you what, a real tip of the hat again to our team out there in the field. We got some great imagery from our cameras. What you saw mostly was from us out there at Starbase. And wow, what a flight! I'm still trying to process everything here. I don't know about you two, because I know you've all been working really hard at making sure we knew everything there was to know about this launch ahead of time. We're seeing kind of the aftermath of the launch area. It looks a lot better to me, at least in this initial look, than it did the last time they fired Starship off. So that's a good sign. And here's our pad.
Like this. I mean, this looks pretty much normal, I would say. But the dent is new on the left tank. But if it's only a dent on a tank, that's like, I take that. I take that every single day. And of course, we are working on replays. We are working on other angles. We will get all of that to you. Just stay tuned with us. We are getting there. It's quite a lot, and it's also kind of overwhelming for all of us because we are also fans about this, right? So
yeah, right. And that's part of why we like to be quiet during the launch time, so we can enjoy it too, because we're all watching this together, which is really exciting. So if you're just tuning in, as you can see, there is no Starship on the pad. The Starship did successfully launch, and if you rewind in our stream, you can see it over and over again until we get
just looking at the BBC News website. Not one mention of this launch. Nothing saying, SpaceX launches Starship, or even Starship launches but explodes or whatever in near orbit. Nothing. There's not even a mention of it. Not even a mention of it. Oh no, I'm lying. It's there. Elon Musk Starship rocket takes off. There we go. There we go. SpaceX engineer has said in the last few minutes that the team has lost the data from the second stage of this flight, which we heard. The team have now signed off on their live feed, blah, blah, blah. So let's say they've lost the ship. But it got further than last time. Which is a plus. As I said, or as they said, it's a test, an integrated flight test, so that they expect failure. So that's all we can do, because we're not going to see what happens next, are we? So we're not going to see it come down in Hawaii. It's on its way down in bits. Somewhere over the Gulf of Mexico. What they're showing us there. What we're looking at there. Hang on, let's put the volume up so we can hear them.
Finish that burn to orbit, basically. And so that is what, like maybe 10% of the whole mission today. That is quite amazing, to be honest. I don't think they will need to do as many modifications this time around, which will mean both hardware and perhaps even the paperwork will not last as long.
And just to say it again, we have replays incoming. We have analysis incoming. We have reactions from our field people incoming. We are working on all of that. The machine in the background is already working. I can already see it, and it's. It looks
like we got a metal print already, though.
Yes, I want to let's show this
straight off
because Sean was getting you something. Wow. Do you want this launch on your wall?
They're selling their wares again at NASA space flight. So I think I'll leave it there because there's nothing new to tell us, is there?
There you go. You can now get it on shop.nasaspaceflight.com.
So you can watch it all again, can't you? From
I can't tell you how
the various
perfect that
feeds that
launch
are
was.
out there. It looked amazing.
I
It did. It
could
looked
not have built
amazing.
one of these myself, but it
Really,
looked a lot
really
more-
did. Shall we
a lot
watch it
better than
again?
the
Shall we
last one.
rewind and
That's
we'll
for
watch
sure.
it again?
The
Yeah. what
first
the heck?
stage flight, the
Where are we then?
boom of the engines.
Where's
Where's
the launch?
That was clean.
Let's watch the launch again.
You know what's great about this
If I
the
can
methane
find
is
it.
that you can really see
It's
the
here
engines
somewhere,
burning
isn't it?
a lot better than you can with some of the other
It's here
fuels that
somewhere.
we've typically witnessed, right? It's
And we're
very
nearly there.
pronounced, the number of engines that were functioning fully. And
Right.
and Alex, there was a successful
Watch the launch again. For Archmage Frail's just arrived. Here we go. Volume up. Off it goes. Let's watch it again. It doesn't last long. It's flying about, look. Ooh, crackly. The microphone. Going. Ooh, fine. Load the ball. Oh, you need it. It's still annoying when they lower it. Yeah, shut up. Mute it. Off it goes. All the engines lit. Was it 33 or 32? I can't remember how many there is. Or was it 31? Whatever. 30 odd. Engines lit. No flame outs. Off it went. They did the hot staging. You know, there were a successful main engine cut off. And they did the hot staging. There you go. All those engines lit. Looks amazing. Yep. The largest rocket ever launched. And then it got up to, I don't know how high it was, about 50 kilometers or something, I think, wasn't it? 49, I can't remember. Did the hot staging, the main engines cut off, apart from about 3 of them. Then it did the Starship. Lit its engines, all 6 of its engines, and separated. I think we're going to see it soon. Let's put the volume back up now.
As we see Starship going with all 33 Raptor engines working here.
This is
already
mind-blowing.
past. Yeah, already past Max Q, approaching hot staging here.
Wow.
This is.
So it looks like those ground changes made a big difference here, didn't it?
Absolutely. We are approaching the hot staging here. They're about 30 seconds away from the hot staging moment. This is where we will see this event we all have been waiting for.
And it does look cool.
Watch for it. I'm so excited to see this.
Yeah.
I wonder if the hot staging
It
is
just
the
shows you how
cause of
much-
the failure.
How
'Cause
much
it is
effort
a shock
they
to
put
the
in between these 2 flights to get
the
to this point.
system, innit?
Absolutely.
So I wonder if they'll just go
Great
back
job by
to a
NSF crew
regular
getting these images to
stage
us also.
separation. I think they should.
I believe that's
All right.
hot staging.
I think so.
That is. Oh my God.
So next up, we're going to see if we can see the boost back. It looks like, yep,
Oh,
looks like
God.
it's
It's
boost back
working.
works.
That's
Look at
coming
that.
back. Then it blows
It
up
works.
in a huge conflagration, which looks like a Death Star blowing
Wow.
up from it. They're going to show us it. I will watch
That
it.
looked
Fantastic.
like that looked good to me, Alex. Like
did.
initial impression, but that
Yeah,
looked
yeah,
good to me.
yeah. Oh my God.
Controlled flight.
It looks like it's working.
And with this, Ship 25 is on its way to Hawaii.
Oh my God.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, wow.
When the,
Ship
the
25
booster
is already
loading.
past
like a
the
nebula, doesn't
McDowell
it? Like a
line.
crab
It's already
nebula.
90 kilometers up.
Wow.
Oh my God. This is unbelievable.
See, they're all excited. I'll shut them up. So the booster exploded. Well, the flight termination system, it didn't just blow up. The flight termination system activated and blew up the booster spectacularly. But the Starship stage, that carried on. Got up to 125 kilometers, I think. And but then they lost all telemetry. So they're saying, we saw some like puffs coming off the ship. And I said at the time, is that like attitude adjustment? I don't know. We did see it veer off a little bit, I think. and then they lost telemetry. Or the numbers here down on the right, they just stopped. That's a sign that they're not getting any new numbers from the ship. So they're saying that it exploded. The flight termination system again activated for that part of the ship, and it's exploded somewhere over the Gulf of Mexico. But we didn't have that on camera. So there we go. Right. Oh, they're watching it again now. Look. But it's still cool. So that's 2 tests. They both ended in, failure. But that's the thing with tests, isn't it? Yes, maybe some aliens picked it up. Yeah. Maybe they did. But that's how we didn't see it explode. You'd think if it had blown up, we'd have seen it, wouldn't we? But they didn't show it for some reason. And I was saying, haven't they got cameras on the rocket? We saw a view from the rocket before launch. So why didn't we see any of those views? I think something dodgy is going on here. It's a conspiracy. A conspiracy, I tells you. But but anyway, at least they did the hot staging, which I think is asking for trouble myself. I know it's a tried and tested thing, particularly with the Russians. The Russians like their hot staging, don't they, I think? But I think that's just asking for trouble. I think it's just putting more stress on the vehicle. There needs to be. Anyway. Right, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to go now because it's how long been on? An hour. So we've had an hour's feed on this. So, what am I going to do next? I don't know. I didn't even know this was going to happen today. So this is an impromptu live stream. But anyway, right. So we'll leave it there with the launch. So thanks, Archmage Ray, for popping in at the death, so to speak. So hopefully it'll not be as long for Integrated Flight Test 3. Hopefully not as long. I mean, how long was it between these? April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. 7 months. Hopefully it's not as long for the next one. Or will it be Booster 10 that's next? And Ship 26. Hopefully it'll be weeks rather than months. But you never know, do you? It's up to the authorities and their confounded licenses that they've got to hand out. Grant, that's the word I'm looking for. Right. So we'll leave it there. So thanks, Archmage Frey, for joining in at the end. Nobody took advantage. I didn't get many people watching, to be honest. I thought I might have got 1 or 2, but obviously there's better feeds going on rather than me. But anyway, so we'll leave it there. So thanks for watching, wherever you are. Look after each other, and until next time, I'll see you there.